like an actual sit down video. So I'm excited to finally have this moment and have the time to do it. But for those of you who don't know, my name is Tony. Everything on my channel is about motherhood, lifestyle, and home decor. So don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to my channel if you like the content. Yeah, it's been a while since we've done a sit down video, so I'm excited. This is a video that I've always wanted to do, but I thought that the timing of doing it now, now that my daughter is 14 months, so I was thinking like after that 1 year mark, it would be good to do like a breastfeeding, like just total video dedicated to breastfeeding and like my experiences. I always share like, or let you all know that of course I'm just sharing like my experiences and things that things that work for me and things that may have not worked for me. So again, it may be different for you because everybody has different experiences and everybody's baby is different. So I always like to drop that disclaimer. But again, I'm sharing what I can, so hopefully it can help you in one way or another. And also, if you have any other tips or, just want to share your journey of breastfeeding, feel free to drop a comment below. Okay, so of course I have my notes here, and I've just been thinking about this like over some time now of like information that I found very important, or things that I think would be useful for you all to just take in, whether you're a new mom or you're pregnant, or you're looking forward to trying to breastfeed maybe for your second or third child, whatever the case may be. Hopefully this information is helpful. Again, I'm just sharing my experiences, so let's get into it. Okay, so first I just want to talk about my initial experiences with breastfeeding. Of course, like I mentioned, my daughter is currently 14 months. She was born last April, and well, not last April, April 2021, because she's already born, duh. But yeah, so my initial experience with breastfeeding, which may be of a surprise to some of you all, but I never experienced any pain when she latched, even like at the hospital. Like, the process of breastfeeding was not painful for me at all. I don't know if it's because I had a C-section, like I was on medicine, like pain medicine, and so my body was just numb. I don't know, but I never experienced any pain when it came to breastfeeding, and I am so grateful for that. So I hope that is the case for other moms, and just moving forward when I decide to have other children. So that was a relief, because I've heard many moms mention that, those first couple latches and, those first couple weeks of breastfeeding, there was pain associated with breastfeeding, for those first couple of weeks or whatnot. So I can't speak to that because, again, I didn't experience that, but that is just what other moms have shared with me. Naylin did, again, latch very well. Like, when we were in the hospital, like, the breastfeeding specialists were very helpful and assisted with that process, as well as my doula. So it was definitely great, especially being a first-time mom, having that assistance with something that I wanted to do. And again, I will also share that, of course, breastfeeding is a personal choice of the mom, whether or not she wants to breastfeed her child. And again, breastfeeding could look differently, for everyone. You have exclusively breastfeeding, where you're literally only breastfeeding. You have, where you're breastfeeding mostly the majority of the time and you're giving a bottle, or you have where you're just pumping and expressing the milk and putting it in a bottle to give to your baby. So there's many different ways of breastfeeding your baby. It doesn't, it looks different for everyone. So, you can choose what suits you best. And again, just make the best decision for yourself. I will mention, like, when we came home after a couple days in the hospital, the first night she did not want to latch. So of course I was freaking out. I didn't know what was going on. We gave her a pacifier in the hospital, and so I was just thinking that, her not latching was associated with the fact that we gave her the pacifier while in the hospital, and you know, she had nipple confusion. But in reality, I don't really think it was like a nipple confusion thing. I think it was just, you know, a new environment. Like, it's a lot going on. She was in the hospital. We brought her home. You know, it's just an adjustment period for everyone. I'm still learning, you know, what works for her, what works for me, and vice versa. So I think it was just an adjustment period, and I wouldn't say it was nipple confusion. So what I did was, my doula suggested that we use a nipple shield. So that's like basically like a little plastic cover, in a sense, that went over, you know, my nipple, and that did help with the latching process, like that first couple of nights that she was home, because again, for whatever reason, when we got home, she wasn't latching all the way. So that is definitely an item that, you know, may be helpful to have on hand, and I will be sure to link it below. My initial perspective on breastfeeding, honestly, I would just say I was not prepared for the commitment of breastfeeding exclusively. It was very demanding. And you know, it was a bit overwhelming, because essentially I felt like I was giving my body up for my baby, because whenever she wanted to feed, you know, I was at her beck and call. Dad couldn't help as much. Even though our moms came over and helped the first couple of weeks, when it came to feeding, it was all on me. First, that impacted our sleep, and whatnot. And you know, as newborns, they're feeding constantly, especially those first couple of nights. They're trying to help your milk come in. They're cluster feeding, which is essentially just kind of feeding like 24/7. So yeah, so essentially, like, I was felt like a couch potato. I felt like this was going to be never ending, and yeah, that was just honestly like how I truly felt, and I was almost second guessing my decision to breastfeed. And again, so basically I was, you know, not instructed, or it was suggested to me not to pump as soon as I came home or at the hospital, because they say that would increase my chances to be engorged. So I held off on pumping for like those first couple of weeks, and then I started pumping after that to try to give her a bottle. She did take well to the bottle. We gave her the Nook, which was the bottle that she used for the first couple of months. And what I will say is that, you know, I wasn't consistently giving her the bottle. I was still, you know, I wanted to breastfeed, even though it was such a commitment and I felt like it was taking so much out of me. I wanted to make sure that, you know, like, I was giving my best foot forward when it came to breastfeeding. And back on it now, it was totally worth it, in my opinion. I think at that point, I just was more so like, when you're a new mom, it's hard to see the end because you don't know what to expect. You're learning so many new things. So for me, it was like, okay, well, is this my life forever? But in reality, like, it was for the first few months. As they get older, they start learning new skills. The frequency of the breastfeeding and the amount of times they breastfeed, you know, it starts to decrease. So it gets better, especially if you introduce a bottle. You know, again, that is another way of making sure your baby is receiving the breast milk. So yeah, so moving forward, during my next pregnancy or for my next baby, I will pump as soon as I get home. That way, you know, husband can help, whoever's here can help me essentially feed the baby, because that's technically all they're doing when they first come home, is eating and sleeping. So I will be pumping when we touch down at home. Okay, since we're on the topic of pumping, I use the Amita Maya pump, and I got that through my insurance, so it was free. I'll see if I can find the link for you all below, where basically you can go into this portal and see what pumps you can get for free for under your insurance. So I had that pump. It seemed okay. Again, I still wasn't pumping a lot. You know, I just wasn't pumping a lot. It was, we were already into our routine of breastfeeding. So trying to find time to pump for me was like another added responsibility. And just, again, as being a new mom and just trying to find the rhythm of things, it was, just, I don't know. It just wasn't something that I could find time to do, period. So I had Lamita Maya. It didn't seem bad, but it didn't seem awesome. I've heard other moms, vent and rave or, really shout out other pumps that seem to be working really well for them. And my pump, the Mita Maya, it was like an electric pump that had to be plugged into the wall. Well, I think I could have batteries. I could have batteries, but again, it was just a lot. It was a process. So after kind of being discouraged with that pump, I think I got when she was like 2 or 3 months, I went ahead and ordered the Willow hands-free breast pump. And essentially that breast pump is one that you can put in your bra. Therefore, you can still be mobile and whatnot. So when I did get that pump, I was able to pump more frequently because I could move around when she was taking naps and stuff. That's when I would pump and I would be like cleaning up and stuff. I did enjoy that pump. I did do a review on that pump after using it for like 5 or 6 months if you want to learn more about that pump. All right, so now I'm just going to talk a little bit about scheduling. So maybe this kind of can give you an idea of what to expect for like the first year of breastfeeding. Again, every baby is different. I'm just sharing like what it really looked like for me. So again, as I already mentioned, during the newborn stage, it was very demanding, especially if you're exclusively breastfeeding, because you're essentially feeding the baby every 2 hours. And that's even through the night, because of course, as newborns, they're growing at such a fast rate, they're needing to eat and they're only on milk. So, very frequently those first couple of months. I would say that she cluster fed for like the first 6 months, basically up until we started increasing, giving her solids. And I won't say it was like a constant cluster feed, but it would be like days at a time where I would be like, okay, she's definitely eating more. She ate more today. And again, that's associated with like growth spurts and whatnot. So it's completely normal. Sometimes I would be like, well, dang, like, am I not producing enough milk myself, because she would be eating more frequently, but essentially I was producing enough milk. Your body's going to create just what you need for your baby. And she was just going through that phase of cluster feeding and growth spurting and whatnot. So don't get freaked out if that happens to you. And I will add in there are things that you can do to help increase your supply if for some reason you are in experience, a low supply. 2 things that helped for me was making sure I was eating. And you definitely expect to eat more when you're breastfeeding, because your baby is consuming a lot of your nutrients. It helps you burn calories. So if you didn't know, breastfeeding burns calories and can help you lose weight. So that's also an added benefit. So making sure you're eating properly, eating enough during the day, and a healthy diet. Drinking enough water. Water is definitely essential. And go ahead and have water bottles on deck, because as you're feeding your baby, like, your mouth would be so dry. Like, I would basically have cotton mouth because you just get so dehydrated. So have your water on hand, like, have your stuff ready to take that on, because you will be thirsty. So again, eating well, water, and also oatmeal is associated with increasing supply. I did eat oatmeal like in the winter months, because I like oatmeal for one. For two, I was like, okay, well, this will also help increase my supply, like especially if I'm trying to build a stash and pump. So yeah, those were just a few tips that could possibly help you increase your supply if you are experiencing decrease or you just want to produce more. So, okay, back on track. So yeah, so she cluster fed until about 6 months, and at 6 months we did start to introduce solids. Even though she was still primarily breastfeeding, you know, she was staying fuller for long times. And again, the older they get, the amount of time and the length or frequency of times that they are feeding starts to decrease. I did quote unquote create a bad habit of nursing her to sleep, but in my opinion, if you're exclusively breastfeeding, you're doing it every 2 hours, like the baby is going to fall asleep breastfeeding. Like, it's comforting to them. They get full on your breast. Like, it just happens. And so I didn't really realize it at the time, but I was creating that habit of nursing her to sleep. She did become dependent on nursing to sleep and using my breast to soothe her. So that was a bit of a challenge because, again, even as she got older, started to sleep in her room, she would wake up in the middle of the night and expect to breastfeed. So that did become, you know, kind of draining. And then that's like when we implemented sleep training and all of that, which I'm not going to go into today. So up until about 11 months, she was still waking like 1 to 2 nights. On average, we did start to implement more bottles, so Dad was able to help us out during that time period as well. At a certain point, you realize, okay, are you just doing this for comfort, or are you really hungry? And so once I realized that she wasn't really hungry and I felt like it was just for comfort, again, that's when we, you know, tried to do more sleep training and things of that nature. To say that I would change that initially, I mean, of course, I do plan on giving the baby bottles quicker next time and pumping more like at that newborn stage. So hopefully maybe it will change that. But if I happen to nurse my baby to sleep, it is what it is. I'm not, you know, especially seeing now that at 12 months, or I mean at 14 months, she's sleeping through the night, it is doable. You know what I'm saying? So I don't regret that. So she currently is still breastfeeding at 14 months. It's more so on demand. I definitely do not offer it to her because I do eventually want her to, you know, kind of grow out of breastfeeding. We mostly give her bottles now, especially because she can sit and feed herself and just kind of keep herself busy, so I can give her a bottle. But so maybe she breastfeeds maybe like 3 times a day. Actually this week though, I will say she is teething and she had like a little cold. Just a combination of those, she was wanting to nurse more frequently. Typically, since she's been about 11 months, she has been, you know, breastfeeding maybe like 3 times a day. So it, you know, again, just seeing the progression of every 2 hours to just 3 times a day. Like, now that I am looking back, I'm like, okay, it was worth it. And it, you know, it may have been bad at that moment, but there is an end to it and it does get better. Forward to breastfeeding again, my next child. As I mentioned, there are some things that I would change now that I've experienced a full year of breastfeeding, and, you know, just seeing when she'll stop will also be interesting. I hope this video was very helpful to you all. Please leave a comment below. Let me know of your experiences with breastfeeding. Would you do it again? Do you look forward to it? Is it something you're not interested into it? Whatever it is, whatever works for you in your household, I'm here for it. And yeah, so that is probably the end of this video. Thank you all for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see y'all in the next video.